Tears. Camera. Action. Meghan sat in front of the camera, her voice trembling, tears welling up, and for a moment, the polished facade she's built over the years seemed to flicker. This wasn't another royal speech, nor a polished PR moment. This was raw, uncomfortable, almost too revealing. Insiders say the moment became even heavier when her mother's quiet voice broke through in the background. Whispers claim she touched on something Meghan has spent years dodging, the questions surrounding Archie and Lilibet. For a woman known for keeping control of every angle, every frame, every word, this looked like a crack in the armor. And the internet noticed. People who've followed her story closely say it didn't look like performance, it looked like pressure. Because the world isn't just watching Meghan anymore, they're asking questions she may not be ready to answer. And there's so much to unpack here, from that emotional breakdown to the silence surrounding the children, to the whispers spreading far beyond Montecito. We don't have all day, so let's get into it. The moment Meghan's voice cracked, the atmosphere shifted. What began as a calm, carefully lit sit-down felt like it was slipping out of her hands in real time. Her breathing grew uneven, her words came slower, and for a split second, you could almost see her fighting to hold the mask in place. Then came the voice. Her mother's voice, quiet, almost like it wasn't meant to be heard. But it was. Whispers say she mentioned something about truths long overdue, and that's when Meghan's entire expression changed. Her head dipped, her eyes closed, and for the first time in a long time, the woman who's known for controlling every second of her image looked exposed. Insiders claim the room was dead silent. The topic, they say, hovered around Archie and Lilibet, the same topic that has followed her like a shadow, but rarely made it into her public interviews. People close to the situation say this wasn't part of any scripted moment. There was no polished press release, no official statement, no slick Netflix editing, just a daughter, a mother, and a wave of unspoken words too loud to ignore. The whispers around Montecito grew louder after that day. What exactly was said? Why was Meghan so shaken? And more importantly, why now? This wasn't just another interview. To many watching, this was a fracture in the image she spent years building brick by brick, and once a crack appears, the illusion never looks quite the same again. For years, Meghan Markle has painted a flawless picture of family life in Montecito. The sprawling estate, the blooming gardens, carefully chosen photos released just enough to keep the world curious but never too close, a golden filter over a quiet California dream. Everything seemed perfectly placed, too perfectly placed. Insiders say this was always part of the plan, a controlled image, a family wrapped in soft focus. Archie and Lilibet became symbols more than they were ever allowed to be children in the public eye, glimpsed only through rare polished portraits or pre-approved footage. But after that emotional moment with her mother, something about that image no longer felt airtight. Whispers claim the polished surface suddenly looked thinner, more fragile. People online began revisiting old clips, old interviews, even those few public photographs. And what they once accepted as privacy now felt to many like a wall. The kind of wall built not to protect innocence, but to hide something deeper. Observers say this is where the unease truly began to spread. The family that once felt untouchable now felt distant, almost staged. And when a perfect image starts to look staged, people don't forget, they dig. When it comes to Archie and Lilibet, one question has quietly become the loudest of them all. Where are they? For years, Meghan and Harry have kept their children almost entirely out of the public eye. No school runs captured by passing photographers, no random sightings at parks, no unplanned moments that usually surround royal children. Just the occasional perfectly lit photo, controlled, curated, and released when it suited the narrative. Insiders whisper that this level of silence has become a double-edged sword. What once appeared as a fiercely protective parenting choice is now fueling whispers of something bigger. People online have begun to dig deeper. Viewers point out how there are no organic paparazzi shots, no confirmed school enrollments made public, no real-time interactions with the outside world. For royal children or even celebrity children of their visibility, this kind of total invisibility is almost unheard of. And that's where the shift happened. What was once framed as privacy is now being called secrecy. What felt noble to some is starting to feel unsettling to others. Observers say Meghan's on-camera breakdown only magnified the questions. Why did the topic of Archie and Lilibet spark that reaction? What exactly has been so carefully kept from view? Whispers from people close to Montecito claim that even some neighbors have quietly wondered about the unusual quiet around the estate. It's not a frenzy of activity, it's silence. And in stories like this, silence becomes its own headline. As the questions surrounding Archie and Lilibet grow louder, another kind of conversation has started bubbling just beneath the surface, a conversation laced with fear, frustration, and whispers of legal action. In online forums, comment sections, and private group chats, some viewers say they've taken things a step further. They claim to have contacted Child Protection Services, not because of confirmed evidence, but because, as one commenter put it, the silence itself feels suspicious. Insiders stress that there's no official confirmation of any investigation. But the fact that ordinary people are even talking about CPS shows just how far public trust has eroded. Royal watchers say this is unlike anything the Sussexes have faced before. This isn't just tabloids speculating about royal drama. This is regular people framing their concerns in legal language, pushing whispers into new territory. Some even say they've tried to bring attention to the lack of visible proof of the children's well-being. Others are sharing open letters online, demanding transparency from both Meghan and Harry. And this is where it gets heavier. Because when the story moves from gossip to whispered calls for accountability, it doesn't just live online anymore. It lingers. Observers say Meghan's emotional moment on camera now looks different to many, less like a breakdown and more like a reaction to the growing pressure closing in from the outside world. For years, Meghan and Harry's Montecito estate has been portrayed as a quiet family haven. The lush gardens, the soft golden California light, a place of safety, privacy, and carefully crafted perfection. But according to whispers from someone who allegedly spent time inside, it didn't feel like a home. Whispers claim that a former housemaid described the atmosphere in one word: cold. She allegedly said there was something unsettling about the silence in that house. No children's laughter, no background noise, no sense of a home lived in. She said it felt more like a stage. One person close to the situation whispered, "Everything in its place, perfect, untouched, like a set waiting for the cameras to roll." This single detail has spread through online conversations like wildfire, not because it's proven, but because it fits the growing public suspicion. People are now re-examining old clips of Meghan walking through the estate, noting how pristine everything looks. The house almost seems frozen in time, too quiet, too controlled. Observers say this maid's whisper didn't create the illusion of mystery, it amplified it. And once a story like this catches on, it becomes nearly impossible to contain. What was once Meghan's greatest shield, her fortress of privacy, is now being painted in whispers as something else entirely, a polished set hiding a story no one's been allowed to tell. When Meghan first began pulling back the curtain on royal life, the public was divided, but still curious. There was a sense of fascination, of wanting to understand her side of the story. But that curiosity is changing, fast. Whispers from royal watchers say the mood in online spaces has grown sharper. People aren't just questioning anymore, they're demanding answers. Commenters on forums and channels across platforms are calling the situation a circus with no clowns, a story that doesn't add up, and an image too neat to be real. Observers point out how this isn't the usual celebrity gossip chatter. It's emotional, personal. Some feel deceived. Others say they feel stonewalled. And that frustration has become a force of its own. People are now tagging agencies, journalists, even child protection organizations online. Some say they won't stop until they get something, clarity, proof, or at least a crack in the silence. Insiders note that Meghan's emotional on-camera moment, the one that started all this, now plays on loop in these spaces, not as a sympathetic cry, but as evidence. Every tremble, every glance away, every tear is being dissected frame by frame. This isn't harmless chatter anymore. This is pressure. The kind of pressure that can shake even the most carefully controlled image. For years, Meghan's greatest strength has been the image she built. Polished, deliberate, impenetrable, but even the strongest facade can only hold so long. Whispers from people close to the situation say what we're seeing now isn't just gossip gaining traction, it's the slow, public unraveling of a carefully maintained illusion. Every tear she shed on camera, every quiet moment behind those Montecito gates, every unanswered question about Archie and Lilibet, They've all merged into a single, echoing narrative. Something isn't adding up. Observers say it isn't one big revelation that breaks a carefully built image. It's a series of tiny cracks. A quiet voice from her mother. A whispered account from a housemaid. A frustrated public no longer willing to sit in silence. People aren't just questioning the story anymore. They're questioning the storyteller. And that changes everything. Insiders whisper that this is exactly how narratives shift. One day, you're controlling the story. The next, the story controls you. And for Meghan, the once untouchable Duchess of Sussex, that shift seems to be happening in real time. Now that the whispers have turned into a storm, one question hangs in the air like a thick fog. What happens next? Observers say Meghan is facing the kind of pressure she's spent years trying to avoid. The emotional interview that once felt personal is now being dissected like evidence. The silence around Archie and Lilibet isn't calming anyone down, it's making the noise louder. Insiders whisper that a strategic response might be in the works behind closed doors. Some believe there could be new, carefully staged appearances of the children, a soft reset to ease the growing public frustration. Others suggest she may try to shift attention with another big public move, something that makes headlines fast enough to drown out the questions. But here's the thing, once the illusion cracks, patching it isn't easy. Every photo, every statement, every step she takes from here will be measured against the questions already out there. People aren't waiting for a PR campaign, they're waiting for the truth, or at least something that feels closer to it. And for Meghan Markle, the woman who built an empire on controlling the story, she may now find herself trapped inside a story she can't control anymore. It started with tears on camera. A daughter's quiet breakdown. A mother's soft words that no one expected to hear. But now it's something bigger. What was once Meghan Markle's greatest strength? Her flawless control over every part of her image has become the very thing that's being questioned. The whispers aren't quiet anymore. They're loud, they're relentless, and they're echoing far beyond Montecito. From the maid's chilling description of the house to the growing frustration of a public demanding answers, the story of Archie and Lilibet has become more than gossip. It's a pressure point, a crack in the image she's held together for years. Insiders say this is the moment where the balance shifts. Because once people start doubting the image, they don't just stop at questions, they start searching for answers. And that's exactly what's happening now. This is Hollywood Daily Reports. Subscribe now because this story isn't slowing down, it's just beginning to break wide open. Constitutional protection that shields her from similar future challenges. If she wins, the carefully constructed Sussex brand faces its first major legal defeat, with depositions, discovery procedures, and jury trial processes threatening to expose every secret they've desperately tried to control through media management. But here's the explosive finale nobody's prepared for. If this high-profile defamation case looks legally devastating, wait until you discover the parallel financial investigations that could reveal the real economic desperation driving the Sussex media empire's frantic search for positive publicity coverage. According to confidential legal sources familiar with ongoing proceedings, coordinated debt collection procedures and creditor deposition processes could expose systematic financial desperation that makes this public family warfare look like carefully orchestrated distraction from much more serious economic problems threatening the entire Sussex brand empire. This is HDR Spotlight. Subscribe immediately, stay tuned for breaking developments, and buckle up for constitutional battle. The Markle family legal war is about to crown a permanent winner and utterly destroy a loser forever.